Captain Midnight. April 27, 1986. An HBO movie is playing normally. A television glows in a living room. The picture is stable. The signal is clean. Then, the movie disappears. Color bars fill the screen. A message appears where the movie should be. It comes from someone calling himself Captain Midnight. At first, it almost looks harmless. No mask, no monster, no screaming emergency alert, just a strange screen sitting in the middle of a paid television broadcast. But the real problem is not the message. The real problem is where the message appears. This is not one broken television. This is not a local glitch. The signal is coming through satellite. It is moving from HBO up through the sky, down to dishes, and into homes. Then another signal pushes into that path. For several minutes, HBO is no longer the one controlling what viewers see. The satellite feed belongs to someone else. That is what made the Captain Midnight incident different. A normal viewer at home could do nothing. The channel could look official. The broadcast could come from the sky. And still, the image on the screen could be replaced. Investigators quickly understood that this could not be done with ordinary home equipment. The person behind it needed power. They needed a large satellite dish. They needed the right transmitter. And they needed to understand how the broadcast system worked. Eventually, authorities traced the interruption to John McDougal, a satellite television technician in Florida. Unlike many broadcast mysteries, Captain Midnight was solved. There was a name, there was a method, there was a reason. But the case still revealed something that felt bigger than one angry technician. A satellite signal was supposed to feel untouchable. It came from above. It reached thousands of homes. It looked official because the system itself looked official. Then one stronger signal changed the meaning of the whole thing. The screen was no longer proof of control. The channel was no longer proof of ownership. For a few minutes, the signal had been stolen. And that idea did not end with Captain Midnight, because another broadcast had already shown something even stranger. Captain Midnight stole the picture. Vrillon stole the voice. Southern Television. November 26, 1977. Viewers in parts of southern England are watching an ordinary evening broadcast. The television picture remains normal. There is no strange face on the screen, no color bars, no warning card, no obvious visual takeover. The image still looks like television. Then the audio changes. A distorted voice enters the broadcast. The voice claims to be Vrillon, a representative of the Ashtar Galactic Command. For several minutes, the normal program continues to look like itself, but it no longer sounds like itself. That is what made the interruption feel so wrong. The screen was still familiar. The living room was still ordinary. The television was still showing the same kind of broadcast viewers expected. But the voice coming out of the speakers belonged to something else. The message warned humanity. It spoke about weapons. It spoke about the future. It spoke as if it were coming from beyond Earth. Then, just as suddenly, the interruption ended. The normal broadcast returned. The picture had never needed to change. Only the signal behind it had changed. For viewers at home, that created a strange kind of fear. If the picture can stay normal while the voice is replaced, then the screen cannot be trusted by appearance alone. Phone calls came in. Some viewers were confused. Some were frightened. Some believed it might have been a hoax. Investigators later found a likely technical explanation. The Hannington transmitter was rebroadcasting a signal from another source. That made it vulnerable. If someone nearby sent a stronger, unauthorized signal into the chain, the wrong audio could be carried outward to real television viewers. The explanation made the event possible, but it did not answer the question that kept the story alive. Who actually sent the voice? No one was publicly identified. No one became the face of the incident. There was only the broadcast, a normal television image, a wrong voice, and a signal path that had briefly stopped belonging to the people who controlled it. Captain Midnight proved that a satellite feed could be stolen. Vrillon proved something more unsettling. A broadcast did not need to look broken to be wrong. Sometimes the screen could stay normal, and only the voice would betray it. But not every strange broadcast interrupts a normal program. Some signals are strange because they are supposed to be there. Number stations. A shortwave radio dial turns through static. Voices appear between bursts of noise. Sometimes the voice is calm. Sometimes it sounds mechanical. Sometimes music plays first. Then the numbers begin. 5 digits, another 5 digits, then another. To most people, the broadcast means nothing. It is just a voice reading numbers into the air. But that is the point. The message is not hidden by being silent. It is hidden by being meaningless. Anyone with the right radio can hear it, but only the intended listener can understand it. That is what makes number stations feel backward. A secret message is being sent in public. The signal does not need a password. It does not need a private line. It does not need the internet. It only needs a frequency, a time, and a listener with the right key. For everyone else, the numbers are locked boxes. For one hidden receiver, they may be instructions. This turns the radio into something stranger than entertainment. A normal person hears noise. A spy may hear a command. The same broadcast exists in two different worlds at once. Public sound, private meaning. That is why number stations are not just creepy because they are mysterious. They are creepy because they may be working exactly as intended. There may be nothing broken about them, nothing accidental, nothing supernatural, just a system designed so most people can hear it and still understand nothing. A voice reads numbers. A listener writes them down. down. A code key opens the message. Then the voice disappears back into static. No meeting is needed, no face is shown, no sender has to be named. The air itself becomes the delivery system. And for anyone outside the system, the message remains closed. Captain Midnight showed a signal being stolen. Vrillon showed a signal being replaced. Number stations show something quieter. A signal can be completely public and still not be meant for you. But one radio mystery feels different. Because it does not sound like a message at first, it sounds like a machine waiting. The buzzer. A radio dial lands on 4,625 kilohertz. Out of the static comes a repeating buzz. Again and again and again. The sound is simple, almost boring. A short pulse, a pause, another pulse, then another. Most of the time, nothing changes. The buzzer continues through hours, then days, then years. It feels less like a broadcast for people and more like a marker left on the air. A signal occupying a frequency, a sound that says, "This place is taken." Then, sometimes, the pattern breaks. The buzzing stops. A voice appears. It reads a short message, words, numbers, call signs. Then the voice vanishes, and the buzzing returns. That is the part that changes the meaning of the whole signal. Before the voice, the buzz could feel like an accident, a broken transmitter, a leftover tone, a forgotten machine. But when the voice appears, the signal becomes active. Something is listening. Something is using it. Or at least, something knows when to speak through it. That is why UVB76 feels so different from an ordinary, unexplained sound. The mystery is not just what it is. The mystery is why it keeps going. A normal broadcast wants an audience. A normal station identifies itself. A normal message tries to be understood. The buzzer does none of that. It simply remains. The room can be empty. The listener can leave. The calendar can move forward. The same frequency keeps producing the same sound. Some people believe it is connected to military communication. Others imagine emergency systems, coded commands, or hidden networks. But the most unsettling idea is simpler. The signal may not care whether the public understands it. It may not be speaking to us at all. It may only need to keep a channel open. A channel for whoever is supposed to use it. Captain Midnight had a person behind the screen. Vrillon had a voice behind the broadcast. Number stations had hidden listeners. UVB76 has something colder, a signal that refuses to explain itself. And then there is the broadcast mystery most people remember first, Max Headroom. This case is different because it gave the fear a face. In 1987, 2 Chicago television stations were interrupted. For a few seconds, one broadcast was taken over. Later that night, it happened again. This time, the interruption lasted longer. A masked figure appeared on the screen. The background moved strangely. The audio was distorted. The person in the mask moved like a corrupted television character. The message made almost no sense. Then, the normal broadcast returned. No one was publicly identified. No one was arrested. And the mask became one of the most recognizable images in broadcast mystery history. But Max Headroom was not disturbing only because of the mask. The mask was just the visible part. The deeper fear had already appeared in the other cases. Captain Midnight showed that a satellite feed could be overpowered. Vrillon showed that a normal screen could carry the wrong voice. Number stations showed that public signals could hide private messages. UVB76 showed that a signal could keep transmitting without explaining itself. Max Headroom combined all of that into one image, a familiar screen, a strange signal, a human-shaped figure, and no clear answer behind it. That is why broadcast mysteries feel different from ordinary internet mysteries. They do not begin with a hidden website. They do not wait for someone to click a strange link. They enter through systems people already trust: a television, a radio, a satellite feed, a frequency in the air. These systems are supposed to deliver information from known sources: a network, a station, a channel, a transmitter. But in these cases, the source becomes uncertain. The picture can be stolen, the voice can be replaced, the message can be coded, the signal can keep going for years, and the face on the screen can appear without anyone knowing who put it there. That is the real pattern behind the strangest broadcast mysteries. The fear is not just that something strange was transmitted. The fear is that the signal arrived through a system that was supposed to be trusted. For a few seconds, or for decades, the question becomes the same: who is really speaking, and who actually owns the signal? Which broadcast mystery disturbed you the most? Captain Midnight, the Vrillon Broadcast, Number Stations, UVB76, or Max Headroom? Let me know in the comments.